like to call on Phil Tannheimer, who is the president of the San Diegans for the Mount Soledad National War Memorial. If I may, Phil probably won't say it. Phil's folks were Holocaust victims. And today he stands with the veterans fighting to save this memorial.
Thank you very much. Actually, I will say proudly so. My father was born in Germany, and my family are all Jewish, and I'm still a practicing Jew. When I stepped up to go in front of this, I reminded myself of a story that my father used to tell me when I was a child about the symbols of faith, both stars, crosses, and other symbols of faith in Germany taken down by the Nazis. And before anybody said anything about that, the next thing that came into history were places like Auschwitz, Treblinka, and Buchenwald. I stepped up here and put my time in to lead an organization of San Diegans that are made of Christians, Jews, and people who are not believing in any kind of a faith, because this is part of our history, and we want our history to stay. And the key thing about that for us is that 76% of San Diegans voted for this to stay and to transfer it to as a national war memorial to the federal government, and we want that to happen, and we're calling again on today for Washington to take that over. But more than that, I'm really very, very proud to stand with these veterans, because my father traded active duty in the 8th Army Air Force for his citizenship, and to this day, I'm so proud of what he did. I brought him up here. He said, I would be proud to be on this monument. Not too soon, he said, but only if it stays as it is, where it is. Thank you very much.
I'd like to call on Jim Kelly, president of Grossmont Union High School Board and the former president of the San Diego County Board of Education.
It is with a very heavy heart that I'm here to talk to you on what may be one of the last days this beautiful landmark stands prominent in our city. It is very disappointing that because of the closed-minded views of an extreme minority, which is very hateful, by the way, we might lose something that is dear to the hearts of so many people from so many backgrounds, of so many faiths, from all across our community. We're about to lose something of beauty, of our history and heritage, and a breathtaking monument which has adorned our landscape over half a century. I have talked with many military, students, and any number of people looking to be inspired by this cross and this place, and all are shocked and heartbroken by the loss we might be facing.
Yeah.
Thank you for the honor of letting me speak to you on what hopefully will not be one of the last days of this beloved memorial.
I want to call on a long-time and consistent defender of this monument, former Congressman Brian Bilbray.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's sad that we have to be here today talking about this issue of preserving a memorial. And it's not just a memorial to the men and women who returned from Korea. My father was one of those. He always said the scariest day of his life was the night before we landed at Incheon. But it is a memorial to those over 8,000 soldiers, Marines, and airmen who never came back from Korea. And I think we forget that. We were able to save and preserve the Mount Helix cross. Today, right now, on Presidio Hill, there was a cross to Father Sarah. On Point Loma, there was a cross on top of a memorial to Gabriel. How sad that we have reached a point where the intolerance in this country is that we can have a cross to Father Sarah, we can have a cross to Gabriel, but God forbid a memorial to the 8,000 men who did not return from Korea cannot stand. And I think it's really sad that in a society that claims to want tolerance, that we can rightfully recognize the cultural importance and the social importance of preserving Native American religious sites. But if anything dares to have a religious connotation, when it comes to the veterans, somehow it must be purged from the face of the earth. I don't know how I explain this to my children, and I don't know how we can explain it to our grandchildren, that we'd allow this memorial to be torn down just because somebody was so intolerant they did not want a memorial to 8,000 missing soldiers and sailors not to be preserved. I am very proud to have worked with people like Duncan Hunter, and I'm very proud of our mayor, Jerry Sanders, who's there today fighting to preserve this memorial to the men and women who served, not just in Korea, but all over the world. And I have to say sincerely, I ask everyone, you need to call the White House and say now is the time for the cavalry to arrive. Now is the time that we need the White House to intervene. Now is the time to have the White House finally take possession of this national memorial and preserve the memory of the men and women who served in the armed forces in Korea and all over the world. Thank you.